You may not be lacking any nutrients at all. You may simply be living with an accumulation of waste that silently breaks your body down each day. If your fatigue has a completely different cause, would you dare to face it? I am Ethan Marshall, a 60-year-old physician living in the United States, and I have spent more than 3 decades observing the human body not only through lab results, but through everything it tries to tell us every day. Today, I want to begin with a truth that may startle you. Most of the aches, exhaustion, heavy-headedness, and sleepless nights you blame on aging are not caused by getting older, but by a body that hasn't been cleaned out on the inside for far too long. If this resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe, hit like, and share this video so I can continue creating valuable content and accompany you on your journey to restored health. Throughout my career, I once believed that disease was the result of nutrient deficiency, lack of vitamins, or dietary imbalance. But the more patients I met, the more I listened to them, the more I observed their physiological changes over time, the more I recognized a different truth. The human body does not weaken because it lacks something, but because it holds too much of what it can no longer process. A common pattern I see in people entering their 50s, 60s, and beyond is an indescribable heaviness. They tell me they eat reasonably well, they don't abuse alcohol, they try to stay active, yet their bodies feel as though they are moving through mud. Symptoms like bloating, dull joint pain, morning fatigue, recurring headaches never truly go away. And in those moments, I am reminded of what our predecessors, Ehret, Walker, Jensen, understood long ago. Illness does not arise from what we lack, but from what becomes trapped inside. Ancient and modern texts alike describe a concept we rarely notice: mucus. This is not the normal mucus of physiology, but undigested food residue lodged in the folds of the gut, clinging to tissue walls, even slipping into cellular spaces. It accumulates day after day, year after year, eventually becoming a silent obstruction that weakens the entire organism. In many adults, especially those over 50, descriptive studies show the colon can hold several kilograms of long-standing waste. Most people have no idea this is happening. They only feel heaviness, mental dullness, without knowing why. In reality, the issue is not the nutrients they absorb, but their body's diminishing ability to eliminate what it no longer needs. With this understanding, we begin to see health through a completely different lens. We see that the body is not working against us. It is struggling quietly under a burden it can no longer carry. This explains why many people feel tired, even when eating very little. Their limited energy is consumed just to maintain an inner state of endurance. When my patients start viewing their health from this perspective, they often say it feels as if a door they have been searching for all their lives has finally opened. What about you? Do you believe the primary cause of bodily decline over time is A. Natural deterioration due to aging, or B. The silent accumulation of waste overloading the body? Choose A or B and leave your answer in the comments. This section focuses on the relationship between food and the formation of mucus, beginning with classifying foods into 2 distinct groups based on their impact on digestion. Mucus-forming foods, which tend to leave residues after digestion, such as animal meat, dairy products, processed starches, and refined sugar, and non-mucus-forming foods, which include fresh fruits and tender vegetables, especially non-starchy varieties that leave little to no indigestible residue. The mechanism of mucus formation originates from how the body processes each type of food. Foods rich in animal protein and concentrated starches ferment easily and break down in ways that produce insoluble waste, while saturated fats and dairy often create adhesive films on the intestinal lining. Digestive enzymes and gut microbes can break down most natural carbohydrates, but struggle with denatured proteins and synthetic compounds, leading to residue buildup in the folds of the colon. The colon's role is central. It functions as the final reservoir for uneliminated digestive byproducts. and when its motility and evacuation capacity weaken, accumulated residues become substrates for fermentation, putrefaction, and the production of endogenous toxins. This biological process extends beyond the gut, affecting connective tissues as soluble toxins penetrate the intestinal barrier, triggering local inflammation and spreading to adjacent tissues, contributing to obstruction at the tissue and cellular level. The practical consequences of mucus accumulation appear in various forms: motility disorders, chronic constipation, bloating, gas-producing bacterial imbalance, increased intestinal permeability leading to chronic immune activation, and over time, systemic manifestations such as sinus issues, joint pain, sleep disturbances, and diminished vitality. Clinical observations and experiential records consistently show that shifting from mucus-forming foods to non-mucus-forming foods often brings noticeable improvement in digestive symptoms, reduced bloating, more regular elimination, and a sense of lightness. This is due to the molecular structure and high water content of fresh fruits and tender vegetables, which leave minimal residue, support microbial balance, and aid intestinal motility. It is important to note that not all starches behave the same. Unprocessed starches combined with high-fiber diets may produce less residue than refined starches. Similarly, dairy products exposed to high heat or additives tend to generate more buildup than raw dairy when used appropriately. Understanding the nature of each food group and how they interact with colonic function is foundational for identifying the causes of mucus buildup and designing interventions to restore the digestive system's self-cleaning capacity. The foundation of this healing method does not lie in maximizing nutrient intake, but in minimizing internal obstruction that blocks the body's natural repair mechanisms. In essence, cleansing is required to free biological energy for cellular repair and regeneration. This concept is summarized in the Formula 5, or P. O, where V represents available vitality, P represents the body's inherent power, and O represents the total burden of waste, inflammation, and toxins consuming and dispersing that energy. Physiologically, when O increases, a significant proportion of metabolic energy is diverted to sustaining inflammation, constant detoxification, and processing abnormal breakdown products. This compromises resources available for cellular repair, antioxidant production, tissue maintenance, and stable neural function. Reducing O through appropriate interventions, such as decreasing intake of residue-producing foods, restoring colonic motility, and supporting tissue detoxification, leads to notable biological effects. Reduced immune burden due to fewer gut-derived antigens entering circulation, decreased systemic inflammatory cytokines, reduced load on the liver and kidneys, and improved mitochondrial efficiency and ATP synthesis. At the cellular level, when extrinsic disturbances decrease, intrinsic repair systems such as autophagy become more active, enabling the removal of damaged proteins and organelles, thereby slowing degenerative processes. Microbiologically, shifting toward low-residue diets supports beneficial gut flora, reduces endotoxin production from protein-fermenting bacteria, and limits inflammatory metabolites. Restored microbiota also reinforces the gut barrier, lowering permeability and preventing inflammatory molecules from leaking into the bloodstream. Clinically, shrinking O yields expected outcomes: better bowel motility, reduced abdominal heaviness, diminished chronic nonspecific inflammation, such as joint discomfort and chronic fatigue, improved sleep quality, and enhanced concentration. These changes do not come from adding a single special nutrient, but from restoring the body's capacity for self-regulation. Achieving this requires coordinated strategies, modifying diet to reduce residue intake, supporting colonic motility through hydration and gentle physical activity, creating scheduled digestive rest through adjusted meal timing or fasting methods, and when appropriate, using guided colon care to restore elimination. The ultimate objective is to return the biological system to a functional state where it has the space to heal itself rather than increasing nutritional load on a system already burdened by obstruction. In a context where the body's natural cleansing mechanisms are hindered by accumulated waste and rising metabolic load, fasting is viewed as a physiological tool to restore the body's capacity for self-regulation within the digestive system and associated tissues. The concept of fasting here is not restricted to a rigid model, but includes multiple levels of dietary adjustment, from temporarily avoiding solid foods to using water or juice for a defined period, and even simplifying intake to fruit-only days. These approaches share one purpose: creating a biological pause during which the digestive system is freed from processing complex nutrients and can redirect resources toward eliminating built-up waste. Mechanistically, when the body enters a fasting state, digestion slows, allowing energy to shift from external processing to internal repair. This activates cellular housekeeping systems, particularly autophagy, which breaks down damaged cellular components and recycles them to maintain essential functions. At the same time, fasting reduces the influx of new mucus-forming substances, preventing further accumulation in the colon and tissues and enabling gradual clearance of existing buildup. Digestively, motility tends to become smoother during fasting. Empirical observations show that proper fasting reduces abdominal pressure, enhances gastrointestinal comfort, and lowers mucosal inflammation. Systemically, decreasing intake of difficult-to-digest foods reduces inflammatory metabolic byproducts from protein-fermenting bacteria, easing the liver's detoxification burden. Fasting also helps break biological cycles that cause dependency on mucus-forming foods by resetting digestive rhythms and restoring natural preference for light, easily digested foods. For adults and older individuals, appropriately applied fasting helps maintain colonic function over time. Without constant overload, the colon can more effectively eliminate residue and resist long-term accumulation. Thus, fasting is not asceticism or extreme intervention, but a method of regulating biological rhythm to support cleansing and reconstruction, strengthening waste elimination functions that tend to decline with age. Convalescence oriented toward primal cleanliness should be understood as a deliberate process aimed at reestablishing an internal environment conducive to the body's natural restorative mechanisms, rather than a short-term diet or aesthetic pursuit. This process requires patience, monitoring, and gradual adjustment, beginning with establishing dietary and lifestyle habits that support elimination and metabolic balance, followed by supportive interventions when needed to ensure the colon and connective tissues can maintain long-term cleansing function. Practically, this path includes three main pillars: designing a phased dietary transition to reduce residue-producing foods, setting up structured digestive rest periods, and incorporating measures that assist motility and detoxification, such as hydration, foundational movement, and guided colonic care when professionally indicated. These changes should unfold in measurable stages to avoid overwhelming the body and to track recovery through simple clinical indicators such as bowel regularity, daily energy levels, sleep quality, and overall mental clarity. Expected outcomes include steadier digestion, reduced nonspecific chronic symptoms, increasing everyday vitality, clearer cognition, and potentially reduced reliance on symptomatic medications as underlying causes are progressively resolved. Sustaining this path requires a shift in mindset, from nutrient accumulation to maintaining internal flow, prioritizing foods and habits that support unobstructed elimination while gradually letting go of habits that recreate buildup. Long-term adherence improves when clear plans, professional guidance, and community support are available, and when individuals experience tangible benefits that reinforce their commitment. Ultimately, the essence of this approach is the restoration of original functional integrity. When the internal environment is sufficiently cleansed, the body's regulatory and defensive systems operate more effectively, promoting physical, mental, and cognitive well-being. The goal is not merely symptom reduction, but enabling the body to preserve a state of health continuously and naturally. The journey to reclaim health begins with recognizing that the body weakens not from deficiency, but from long-standing obstruction. By understanding the true nature of mucus and how it forms from food, we can shift our approach from adding more to removing what slows the body's natural flow. Adjusting diet, reducing digestive load, and using fasting correctly help reopen elimination pathways, restore motility, and activate cellular repair. When practiced consistently, these methods restore the colon, connective tissues, and entire biological system to their original function, forming the basis for clarity, resilience, and emotional steadiness. This is not a quick fix, but a new way of thinking about health, maintaining cellular and tissue flow so the body can operate as nature intended. A key insight is that good health comes not from how much we consume, but from how well we allow the body to release what it no longer needs. In practice, this can start with simple steps, gradually reducing hard-to-digest foods, keeping an evening digestive rest period, or dedicating one day a week to lighter meals for digestive recovery. Do you believe the most important factor in self-healing is reducing obstruction or following a diverse supplement-rich diet? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you wish to deepen your understanding of cleansing and regeneration, fill out the form in the description to receive the complimentary ebook. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video so we can continue producing meaningful content to support your healing journey.